If you're a mom and you're married, but it is feeling like you're more single mom than married mom these days, this video is for you. But fair warning, this is probably not the video that you want to do while you're doing a project for work or, I don't know, making dinner or something. I don't want your food to burn. I want you to be able to be, you know, in tune with what we're talking about and allowing yourself to feel whatever feelings you're going to feel as we talk through some things together. And why I want to have the conversation is recently I did a video talking to primarily with single moms. I was talking to about how, it's not too late for them to have the family that they envision. They haven't ruined it by the fact that they started having children outside of a nuclear family framework, mother, father, kids, nuclear family. And yeah, that was what the video was about. But I got a couple of comments from married women talking about how their husbands flipped the script on them, and the family that they had for over 20 years was now demoed. If you see my previous videos, I do a lot of comparing building a family to building a house. And so, yeah, what they were describing was scenarios where their husband had demoed their family, and understandably, there was a lot of anger and pain in the comments. And so instead of just going on to the next video that I had planned, I couldn't let that go. And so I thought I would do this video speaking to those moms and all the others who saw that video but didn't leave a comment, but knew exactly how they felt or some variation, because I know how it feels. I'm very much a married woman and have very much felt on several occasions that I was functioning as a single mom. And so my first thing to say is sorry that that is what you're experiencing. And second, I make this video to see how we can reframe from here. Because, by the way, I'm Vanessa. I'm so sorry. If this is your first time meeting me, I'm Vanessa. And I am into family dynamics. I'm into helping families function as God designed. And when that's not happening, helping moms in particular kind of sift through where the holes are and how she can be an agent in patching things up so that things go smoother from then on. But life is real life, and you can only do what you can do. And if the other people involved want to do something different, you can't make them. You can't make them line up with your plan or do what you expected. And so you have to know how to make adjustments when life doesn't go the way you envisioned. And so this is one of those videos. Um, but yeah, I know what it's like to feel like a single mom when I'm certainly not. And in this video, I want to help us reframe, because as I was saying, when you have a situation where there's a house that has been demoed, right? Um, you have to reframe to build again. And the first thing I want to say to you is that you can build again. Your family, the way you knew it, is not the same and may never be that way again. But from here, you can build something else. And if you like HGTV like I do, I mean, them remodels, those rebuilds are spectacular. So, um, in the same way, just because your husband made a choice that ruined your family as you knew it, it is not the end of your family. There is always hope. And so, I'm hoping that we can talk about that today. And so, yeah, reframing um, is about putting up the bones again so that there's something that you can put walls to and establish a new structure. And that's where you are in your family. And so there are a few things that I want to talk about that are sort of misconceptions or things that have to be revisited because maybe you believe them at first, but this whole experience that you're having with your husband has rocked your world on that. And one of those things is sometimes when we do things the ideal way, right? You got married, then you started having your family, you started building your family, and you think we're good because we're doing it according to ideal design. It's ideal. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect and it's going to go exactly the way you would like. And there are so many reasons for that. First of all, marriage is hard. Marriage is hard, and that takes hard work. And raising children is hard work. So there's two things that are taking hard work, and the two people involved in the marriage and starting the family have to be on the same page about what that work requires and have the same willingness to see it through. And there, you might have started out that way and then it didn't. Along the way, people had different priorities, and so the weight on a different on one person is going to be different than the other, and the prioritization is going to be different. um, but the kids are still there, and they still need the parent who's invested to continue to persevere, as difficult as that is, and to persevere even while you're taking care of yourself. So, so that's the first thing that has gone out the window, is that now you have realized that doing things the right way doesn't mean you're always going to have the best results. It's based on how committed the two of you are to seeing that through. Um, then there's something else that I think people don't really give a lot of thought to, and you probably didn't, but it's one of the things that I'm particularly fascinated by and invested in, and that's the reality that the family dynamics that you grew up in, the family dynamics that your husband grew up in, are likely not the same. So the way that you saw family done and the way you experienced it versus the way your husband did can be very different, and different in a way that's contradictory, different in a way that you don't realize until you start having a family together, that the two of you see things totally different. It could be the way that you value your children. You may value your children more than your husband does because maybe he wasn't valued as a child, and so he doesn't even see them the same as you do. There's just so many different scenarios. If one or both of you were abused, and in what way and by whom, and none of these things were dealt with, you come into marriage and then starting a family, and then all these things start to emerge, and you realize, oh, we are not on the same page, we are not even talking the same language, and that makes everything harder. So family dynamics, those attitudes and those actions, those forces that are at work in your family, some that you're aware of, some that you didn't even know about because your husband brought him in and he's not even aware that he's doing it, or you brought them in and you're not even aware where that came from. You just know that there's a way that you're showing up that's very different from the way that he's showing up, and it's not unified. And so that's also making it feel like you are doing this by yourself because you're not on the same page with your husband. And then there's just the reality that as a mom, you have skin in the game that he does not, period. If you carry those children in your womb, there is a burden that you have for them. There's an attachment that you have for them if, again, you have had a normal experience growing up, and particularly with your own mom, and you felt nurtured and cared for by her as the one who carried you, and so you have that natural affinity for your own children. All things being quote unquote normal, there's just you just have more skin in the game. You have carried that child in your womb for whatever length of time you did, and you bonded with that child over the sheer fact that you were the one supplying them food, shelter within your own body. That child knew your warmth, heard your voice, heard your heartbeat. You have a connection to that child that can't be duplicated, can't be replicated. And as much as your husband loves his children, it's different. It's different. And, children know it. Children want their mama. First thing happens, they want their mama. Everything is they want their mom, because even after the child is born, if you had normal attachment with them. There was no postpartum or anything that really disrupted that. Immediately, it carried on. What was happening in the womb carries on outside. You are on the scene, making sure that they're fed and making sure that they're clean and making sure that they're comfortable and making sure they have clothing, like all of the things. Um, that was your priority. How they're doing, their health, their happiness is your priority. And it is to a degree that it wouldn't be for their father because he just didn't have the level of involvement from as early on as you did. So all of these are factors that make it challenging for you and for me when we are raising our children with our husbands and we are looking for them to be as in it with us as we are. And for whatever reasons, we're finding out that they're not. And because we have a heart for these children that they don't, we keep showing up and keep trying to fill in where they are not filling in. And it gets exhausting. So if if you're the friend, if you're watching this and you're the friend of a married mom, and you were thinking that she had it all together because she's married and she has an extra pair of hands and she has somebody she can talk things through, careful. I mean, she does have those things, but she doesn't have them all the time, and she might not have them to the extent that you're thinking, you're assuming, just because she is married and the husband and the father of her children sleeps right next to her in the bed. It doesn't mean that he is as hands on as she is. So, that being said, I would like to tell you two stories about these two women who fascinate me. They're women spoken of in the Bible. They are unnamed. And before you get upset that they're not named, because I felt a way about them not being named, because I'm like, why don't we know their names? Does their name not matter? And honestly, it doesn't, because it allows you to see yourself in them when you don't know their names. You just know their story, and that's the point, is knowing their story. These two women are spoken of in the same chapter, back to back. Though they have things in common, they don't know each other, but though they have things in common, they're also very different. But the way that they show up in response to their situations, that's what's similar, and that's what I think we can dig into today as we look to see how we can reframe our feelings about what we're going through, especially during those times when we feel very much like a single mother, even though we're not. The first lady is a widow, and her husband has recently passed away. Great guy. He has a good name, good reputation. Problem is, he died with debt. He died owing someone money, and this man wanted to collect. And since the wife could not pay, the solution was going to be that this man was going to come and take her sons as payment for the debt, and then they would be his slaves. That's what she's facing. Not only has she lost her husband, which in those times, women were not working outside of the home. They depended on their husbands for their sustenance, their daily living, their needs being met. And so not only was he gone, now she has these sons to raise, whom we can just assume from the text are not necessarily old enough um, to have jobs of their own to help take care of their mother. She has to take care of them. And right now, her taking care of them is protecting them from someone who wants to take them as payment for a debt owed. So that's one mother. The other mother is wealthy. She's married. Her husband is still alive. And at one point, she had no children. It seems like she was barren. Maybe they had been trying and were not able. And a gentleman, a prophet that she allowed to stay in the home because he had been traveling back and forth, and she wanted him to have a place where he could crash and be comfortable. And he noticed that she didn't have a son or a child at all, and he prayed over her and declared that she would have a son by this time next year. And sure enough, she did. And so she has a son, she and her husband. She nurses him, she weans him, and he's at the age now where he can join his father out in the field working. And he goes out there and he starts complaining about his head hurting. And from what I could imagine as a physician, being maybe some sort of aneurysm that ruptured, he was carried back to his mom. The father got a servant and said, take him to his mom. And while he was on his mother's lap, and she was, I assume, trying to do all the things she could do to help him feel better, he died in her lap. So we have this wealthy woman who has a young son that she desired in her heart, but never really thought she would have. And then now she has him. And just that quick, she's lost him. And there's nothing she could do about it. And I don't know about you, but if it were me, I would have jumped up and I would have run everywhere screaming for somebody to help. That's not what she did. She's amazing to me. That's not what she did. She got up, she put her son in the bed, the dead son in the bed, and then she went to her husband to ask him for a donkey. Like if you said, "Where are the keys to the car? I need to go see somebody." And The husband is like, who are you going to see? And she said, well, I'm going to see, the man who prayed for me to have this child. I'm going to see him. And well, she didn't say that. She actually didn't mention anything about the child. She just said, I'm going to see Elisha. And he said, well, why would you go see him now? Like, that's an odd time to go see him. And she's like, don't worry about it. It's well. I mean, I'm go. And so he's like, okay. The servant gets the donkey ready. She goes full speed to go see the man. Well, you know what's amazing? If you notice, she didn't say anything to the husband about the child. And if you notice, the husband didn't ask anything about the child. He didn't say, hey, I sent the boy over to you because he was sick and he was talking about his head hurting. Is he okay? Is that the reason why you want to go see the prophet? Like, is something wrong? Said nothing. And she said nothing. Seems like to me that she knew her husband couldn't help her. And talking to him about it wasn't going to be the solution. For however long they were married and however old this child was, what she did know is that even in that situation, talking to her husband was not going to be the solution to the problem of she wanted this child to be brought back to life. The widow wanted somebody to help her protect her sons from being taken away as slaves. Neither one of them, one lost the husband, one still had a husband, neither one of them was depending on their husband. One husband caused the problem, the other husband couldn't solve the problem. There was just these mothers. And what I want to encourage you out of their stories is they discovered something about themselves because of the predicaments they were in with their children that they had to face by themselves. It was a time of self discovery. It wasn't a time of defeat. It wasn't that they were now victims. Something rose up in them because their children were threatened. And they discovered things about themselves they did not have to discover before when they were looking to their husbands for answers to these problems. There's a strength that came alive in them. I don't know how else you can describe a mother having her son die in her lap, and then she just goes and puts him in the bed. And then without, we don't hear anything about hysterics because this man is just asking questions like, well, is this the right day to go? Like, why would you go today? He's not asking as if he sees anything on her face that says, wait, what's wrong? So somehow this woman has pulled it together. And we know she pulled it together because later when she got to the man she was going to see, she fell to his feet and she was like, you have to do something. So it's not that she didn't understand the situation. It's just she knew who not to bring it to and who needed to know about it. She had clarity. Both of these women had strength and they had clarity. They both were very clear on who they needed to go see in this situation. They understood the gravity of the situation and they understood that number one, this is beyond them. This is beyond them. The woman who's wealthy, her son sat in her lap. First, he was just sick. And you're a mother, you try to do whatever you do to get your children well. But when he died in her lap, it's clear I have now, this is beyond me. I'm limited. I can't do anything about this situation anymore. I need to find someone who can do something about this. The woman who was a widow, I have been given notice this man is coming to collect my children. He can't collect the money from me. He's coming to collect my children. I don't know what else to do. I need someone to help me. This is beyond me. They were clear about their own limitations. They were also clear about the limitations of their husbands. Um, yeah, we are role players. Our husbands, we are role players. We are doing the best we can to raise these children that God has given to us as stewards. Um, we're doing the best we can. We're doing the best we know to do. Some instances, people are being shady and they're just, you know, throwing their responsibilities to the side and leaving you to care for children by themselves. All these things are possible, but at the end of the day, it's all because of personal limitations. personal limitations. And that woman who was wealthy knew her husband could not help her. She could not fix it, and she knew her husband couldn't fix it either. So she wasn't even going to waste her time trying to get him in on it so that they can both be hysterical together and this child remain dead. She had to go to the man that she was clear could help. And that's what she did. Go to 2 Kings 4 and see what happened for both of them. But what I want to leave you with is this. The things that you and I experience in life, they feel like they're designed to ultimately destroy us. They're not. They are opportunities for us to see, okay, what's inside? You feel like a pinata that's being busted open, but what's inside the pinata? What's inside? And what's inside and what's revealed often is the best out of you. It's amazing, it's remarkable to have that kind of self-awareness, to understand, okay, I understand my limits in this. I understand what is beyond me. I understand when I need to go get help. I understand who I need to get help from. That's powerful as a mom. And I got to leave you with this. It's the truth. It's the same man that both of these ladies spoke to. The man that the widow's husband worked with and for, Elisha. Her husband was a prophet. Elisha was a prophet. She went to that man, Elisha, to get help, to get wisdom on what to do in this situation. The man that stayed in the house of the wealthy woman, her and her husband, and who said, by this time next year, you're going to have a child, Elisha. And when her child died, she put that child on the bed and she ran to Elisha, and she would not leave him until he came back to come see about her son. The only thing special about Elisha is that he's a picture of Jesus. And so it's interesting that these ladies in two different places encountered the same man who met their needs as mothers with children in desperate situations. And so therefore, these mothers felt desperate. Jesus wants you to know that if you feel desperate, he is the one that is very much ready to help you. Just ask him. He knows the answer. He knows the strength you need. He knows the clarity you need. And he's happy to give it to you, as well as the solutions to the problems that you're facing. Husband at home, husband not at home. Husband invested, husband who has left you. He sees you and he sees your children. And he knows what you need. And if you ask him, he'll give it to you. But he also wants you to recognize what he's put in you. And so take a beat. And when you feel like you are doing this all yourself, and I can't. You can't. You're right. You've come to your limit. And you have to have the clarity and the strength to get up from where you are and to go see the person that you need for answers.
If this video is resonating with you and you would like to hear some more stories and strategies from me on what it's like for me to work out or work through the family dynamics in my own family, then I invite you to join me for Motherhood Unmasked Moments, my weekly newsletter. It's free for you, and the link to it is available in the description box below. I look forward to seeing you there. Let's get back to the video.
I hope that encouraged you. I hope that gave you food for thought as you reframe how you are thinking about your family and your role as mom in it under your current circumstances. But as you do, I want you to remember that when it comes to you being the mother of your children, you are and always will be the woman for the job. Take care.